I, 16-year-old male, have always been feminine growing up, and people often mistake me for being a girl. I never had a problem with this, and I didn't think my family did either until yesterday. My brother told me that when his friends come over, I'm starting to make them uncomfortable because of the way I dress. I've known his friends for a while now, and they have never said anything or made it known that I was making them uncomfortable before, and I hardly talk to them anyway. Like if I see them, I speak and all. But I mostly am in my room. I told him that I don't see how I can make them uncomfortable if I'm not around them enough to do so. But he then told me that his friends started getting uncomfortable because I looked too much like a girl. I was confused by this as I didn't see how that was my problem, as I'm literally barely around them. But okay. He got our dad involved when I started ignoring him, and our dad agreed with him and told me to try and dress less feminine when my brother's friends are around because he doesn't want them to be uncomfortable since they are guests. When I told him that I found it unfair, he told me that he wasn't trying to be unfair, but just wants everyone to feel comfortable and welcome, and he's just trying to be considerate of everyone's feelings. At this point, I just gave up because there was really no point in arguing. So the problem happened earlier today. My brother was going to drive us home from school, and two of his friends always ride with us since their house is on the way. But I'm like, since I'm making them uncomfortable, I decided I was just going to walk home. And when I told my brother this, he asked me if I was being serious, and I told him that I was, and that's exactly what I did. I made it home like around 50 minutes later. Our dad came home like 2 hours after I did, and my brother told on me, and my dad got mad. He literally started screaming at me and told me that what I did was dangerous, blah, blah, blah. I told him that since my brother's friends are uncomfortable around me, I was just trying to be considerate of everyone's feelings. He got upset that I said that and told me that I took his words out of context, but I told him that I wasn't dressed very masculine, so I'd be disobeying him. He told me that I knew it didn't apply for school and that I was being stupid by putting myself in danger to prove a point. I told him that if that's the case, I can ride the bus, then because I'm not riding home with people who are uncomfortable with me, and since they have a problem with me, I don't want to be around them at all. This just made my dad mad. He told me that he doesn't understand why I'm purposely being difficult when I'm normally reasonable. I'm just so upset right now. I don't see why I have to change the way I dress for people who aren't even living here. Am I really being unreasonable, or am I the idiot for thinking it's unfair I have to change my clothes just to accommodate my brother's friends? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Your personal style is a part of who you are and how you choose to express yourself. It's understandable that being asked to change how you dress to accommodate your brother's friends feels like a compromise of your identity. You shouldn't have to change yourself for others, particularly when you're not bothering them. This situation may require clear communication with your brother and your father. It might be helpful to express how you feel about being asked to change the way you dress, as well as how it affects your sense of self and comfort. They may not fully understand your perspective, and a conversation could help bridge that gap. Comment 2. Yeah, I'm guessing it's not your brother's friends that are uncomfortable. They are probably just your average teenage boy idiots who see an opportunity to take the piss out of your brother, and it's making him uncomfortable. Most of the time, teenage boys just find the sore spot on their friends and poke it. It's clear your brother and dad are embarrassed by your choices, and it's them you need to educate rather than hiding from the friends. What are you wearing anyway? Is it a full twin set and pearls, or are we talking black nail varnish and kilts? Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for reading my update. It's been a tough couple of weeks since my last post. After the argument with my dad, things got pretty tense at home. I tried to avoid my brother and his friends as much as possible, but it was hard when they were always hanging out at our house. One day, I overheard them talking about me in the living room. They were making jokes about how I looked like a girl and laughing about it. It really hurt to hear them say those things, especially since I thought they were my friends too. I decided to confront my brother about it later that night. I told him how much it bothered me and asked him to tell his friends to stop. But he just got defensive and said I was being too sensitive. He said that if I didn't want to be made fun of, I should just dress like a normal guy. That really stung. I thought my own brother would have my back, but instead he was siding with his friends. Things only got worse from there. My dad started getting on my case about my clothes too. He said that if I wanted to keep living under his roof, I needed to start dressing more appropriately. I tried to explain to him that this is just who I am and that I'm not trying to cause any trouble, but he wouldn't listen. He even threatened to take away my allowance if I didn't start wearing more masculine clothes. I felt like I was being suffocated in my own home. I couldn't be myself without someone giving me a hard time about it. I started spending more and more time out of the house just to get away from all the negativity. I even started skipping school a few times, which is something I never thought I'd do. One day I decided to take a risk and wear a skirt to school. I was tired of hiding who I was and I wanted to make a statement. I knew it would probably cause some drama, but I didn't care anymore. When I got to school, everyone was staring at me and whispering. Some people even laughed and pointed. It was humiliating, but I tried to hold my head high. Things really came to the head when my brother saw me in the hallway. He freaked out and started yelling at me in front of everyone. He said I was embarrassing him and that I needed to go home and change. I was so angry and hurt that I just ran out of the school and didn't look back. I ended up wandering around town for hours, not sure where to go or what to do. I felt like I had nowhere to turn. My own family didn't accept me for who I was, and I didn't have any close friends to turn to. I started to wonder if maybe there was something wrong with me after all. As I was walking, I passed by a clothing store and saw a dress in the window that I loved. It was a simple, flowy sundress with a floral pattern. I don't know what came over me, but I decided to go in and try it on. When I looked at myself in the mirror, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I was looking at the real me. I ended up buying the dress with the little money I had saved up. I wore it out of the store and kept walking, not sure where I was going, but feeling a sense of freedom and joy that I hadn't felt in a long time. But my happiness was short-lived. When I finally made my way back home that evening, my dad was furious. He said that he had gotten a call from the school about my stunt and that he was embarrassed and ashamed of me. He told me that I was grounded indefinitely and that I was not to leave the house except for school. I tried to argue with him, but it was no use. He wouldn't listen to anything I had to say. I felt like I was trapped in a nightmare with no way out. Later that night, my mom came into my room to talk to me. I hadn't even realized she was home, since she works late most nights. She sat down on the edge of my bed and asked me what was going on. I broke down and told her everything, how I had always felt different, how my brother and his friends were making fun of me, how Dad was trying to force me to change who I was. To my surprise, she listened to me without judgment. When I was finished, she hugged me and told me that she loved me no matter what. She said that she had noticed how I was struggling and that she was sorry she hadn't been there for me more. She promised to talk to my dad and try to get him to see things from my perspective. I know that my mom's support doesn't magically fix everything, but it means the world to me to know that at least one person in my family has my back. I'm still grounded and things are still tense with my dad and brother, but I feel a little less alone knowing that my mom is on my side. I'm not sure what the future holds for me, but I know that I can't keep living a lie. I need to find a way to be true to myself, even if it means facing some difficult challenges along the way. I'm scared and uncertain, but I'm also determined to keep fighting for my right to be who I am. Anyway, that's all for now. Thanks for listening and for all your support. It really means a lot to me. My sister sides with my cheating ex over my new girlfriend. So I pack my bags and leave her struggling to pay the mortgage alone. I, 26-year-old male, live with my sister, 30-year-old female, her husband, and her 4-year-old son. They bought the house and I rent out a room. They can't afford the full mortgage until my brother-in-law gets his scheduled pay bump in the union. I dated my ex, 25-year-old female, for the last 4 years, and we broke up 8 months ago due to her having a full-blown affair, possibly with multiple guys, but I'm only positive about one. A few months ago, I started dating my current girlfriend, 24-year-old female. She's really awesome. We both are into hiking and camping, and she's just really cool to talk to about big ideas. However, she's much more of an introvert, whereas my ex was kind of a modern-day socialite, loved the city, very chic, came from money. My sister got along well with my ex, but not so much with my girlfriend. My sister actually goes out of her way to avoid my girlfriend. When I have her over, she doesn't greet or speak to her, but only talks to me and then leaves the room as quickly as possible. She won't invite my girlfriend to anything. She invited my cousin, his girlfriend, and me out for dinner with her and my brother-in-law. She makes little side comments about how my girlfriend is just a rebound and I'll find my way back to my ex. She hangs out with my ex frequently and posts it on social media. She makes fun of my girlfriend after she leaves for basically nothing. Her New York accent, how she's too quiet, how she cuts her steak, literally everything. Yesterday, my girlfriend cried on the way to her apartment. She said she knows my sister hates her, and she always feels so stupid when she leaves, like she can never say the right thing. She asked if we can stay at her place from now on. I finally had enough of this and told my sister when I got home that if she can't stop with this behavior, I'm moving out next month. She lost it on me and said I can't dictate who she likes or doesn't like, and that it's my fault for not forgiving my ex since she knows my ex is my soulmate. Honestly, I think my sister just likes that my ex has connections and her grandfather's money. Am I the idiot? Edited to add, my brother-in-law unfortunately wouldn't care about anything my sister is doing. They both tend to keep higher status friends and overlook moral qualms. He knows my ex cheated and just told me that's rough, and then otherwise stayed out of it. I'm not sure if my sister knew she was cheating. They were close in the sense that we all did a lot together, but not like best friends. My sister mostly just tries to tag along to networking events. I don't think my sister would ever cheat on my brother-in-law. She cares more about meeting important people and trying to level up than about guys. My ex is currently dating one of the people she cheated with, but she apparently told my sister she wouldn't mind meeting up with me sometimes, which my sister said I should go for. A buddy of mine has a room for rent available, so I'm moving in this weekend. Luckily, I don't have much stuff. Thank you all for your help. Glad I posted as this was insightful. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, she hangs out with my ex frequently and posts it on social media. She got angry with me and said I can't control who she likes or doesn't like, and that it's my fault for not forgiving my ex since she knows my ex is my soulmate. Your ex cheated and is being supported by your sister? I would give sis an ultimatum. She needs to choose sides, your side, or you leave and go low contact with her. Would SIS be just as understanding if brother-in-law cheated and you chose to hang out with him and support him after, instead of supporting her? Comment 2. Honestly, I think my sister just likes that my ex has connections and her grandfather's money. Bingo, your sister just wants you to be a doormat for her benefit. While it may be too soon to move in with your girlfriend, you should at least discuss the possibility with her. For now, be polite and avoid sharing personal information with your sister while making plans to actually move out, preferably when she and her husband are out and you are not babysitting your nephew. Not the jerk, NTA. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for reading my last post and for all the support and advice. It's been a busy week since then, and I've got some updates for you. So after I made the decision to move out, things got pretty tense at home. My sister was giving me the cold shoulder, barely acknowledging my presence. She even had the audacity to invite my ex over for dinner one night, knowing full well how uncomfortable that would make me. I couldn't believe it. It was like she was trying to rub salt in the wound. Meanwhile, my girlfriend has been an absolute rock. She's been there for me through all of this, listening to me vent and offering her support. We've been spending more time at her place just to get away from the drama. It's been nice, actually. We've been cooking together, watching movies, and just enjoying each other's company. I'm realizing more and more how much I appreciate her and how lucky I am to have her in my life. But here's where things get complicated. My buddy, the one I'm moving in with, he's been friends with my ex for years. They go way back, and apparently, my ex has been confiding in him about how much she misses me and wants me back. She's even been showing up at his place, trying to accidentally run into me. It's like she's everywhere I turn. I have to admit, a part of me is tempted. I mean, we were together for 4 years. That's a long time, and we had a lot of good memories. But then I remember the betrayal, the lies, and the pain she caused me. I remember how she shattered my trust and broke my heart. And I know I can't go back to that. But my sister, she's not making it easy. She keeps pushing me to give my ex another chance, saying that people make mistakes and that I should forgive her. She even had the nerve to suggest that I was being selfish by not considering my ex's feelings. Can you believe that? After everything she put me through? It's like I'm being pulled in 2 different directions. On one hand, I have my girlfriend, who has been nothing but supportive and loving. On the other, I have my ex, who seems to be doing everything in her power to win me back. And then there's my sister, who's made it clear where her loyalties lie. I've been doing a lot of soul-searching this week, trying to figure out what I want and what's best for me. And I keep coming back to one thing. I deserve to be with someone who respects me, who values me, and who would never betray my trust. And that person is my girlfriend. So I've made my decision. I'm moving out this weekend, and I'm cutting ties with my ex for good. It's not going to be easy, but I know it's the right thing to do. I need to focus on my own happiness and well-being, and I can't do that if I'm constantly being pulled back into the past. As for my sister, I don't know what the future holds for our relationship. I love her, but I can't keep letting her manipulate me and disrespect my choices. I hope that someday she'll come around and see how happy I am with my girlfriend. But until then, I need to do what's best for me. Anyway, that's where things stand now. It's been a tough week, but I feel like I'm coming out of it stronger and more sure of myself. Thanks again for all your support and advice. It means more than you know. My team member brings her puppy to work and misses deadlines. So I warn her, but she files a false complaint against me. So I gather evidence and get her fired. I, 27, male, am working towards getting my PhD. So in addition to the other roles I have at the university, I'm leading several projects with a core team of 7 members. Back in late January, one of the ladies on the team went on maternity leave, and then another left for maternity leave as well in early March. Because of this, our team has been stretched pretty thin. I understand this, so I've been setting less ambitious objectives for our team, so the remaining 5 of us are not overwhelmed. In late February, the newest member of the lab, Shoal, F27, took in a 5-week-old puppy, Bean. Shoal joined the lab back in December. She needs to research for her master's degree. Before she joined, I'd known her for almost 4 years. Here's where the problem is. Since getting Bean, Shoal has been consistently coming late to meetings, missing her deadlines and leaving early. I've been having to take extra time after hours to ensure that she's in the loop. Cole says all this is because of Bean and how much work he requires, since according to her, he's a baby. Shoal seems to have taken offense with the fact that the 2 ladies have been given maternity leave while she didn't get time off for her dog. It's a whole thing with her that, since she's child-free and all, but I won't get into it. About 2 weeks ago, Shoal asked me if it was okay for her to bring Bean to the office since, according to her, he gets upset and fussy when he's alone. Since the school doesn't have a policy forbidding this, and nobody else on the team objected, I allowed it. The dog has been ridiculous here. It constantly barks and whines, has made a mess on the floor more than once. But the worst thing is that it starts peeing when it sees me or other people, and tries to run over to them while peeing. It has a crate, but whenever it whines constantly in it if it isn't sleeping. Once he's out of the crate, he acts like he's in the Olympics or something, running around in all directions, trying to take the shoes off my feet, etc. Shoal has been doing less work as she spends so much time feeding, cleaning, or trying to persuade Bean to sleep. One of the professors noticed this as well, and he told me to give her a warning before the situation got out of hand. I did on Tuesday. I told her that keeping Bean in the office was untenable and that she'd need to find some alternative. She protested, but I insisted, and she seemed very upset with this. Wednesday, Shoal didn't come in since she didn't want to leave Bean alone. Today, she only showed up for a bit and then headed out. I didn't bother speaking with her, and just a few hours ago, after work, she called me and said I was being a jerk for not advocating for her and Bean. I've decided not to escalate this since she is clearly under a lot of stress, but I did tell her that she was being unprofessional and needed to pull up her socks before her supervisor got involved. Am I the idiot? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, not the idiot. This seems like wholly a problem of maturity and not understanding that university research is just like any other job in terms of workplace expectations and not a place you can feel good about like in undergrad. It is wild to me she likened it to needing maternity leave to take care of a puppy. While I can understand bringing a well-trained dog to work if you have prior approval, the puppy is a biohazard and a major distraction that you shouldn't need to add as an extra load just because they're incapable of taking care of it. Comment 2. Chloe adopted a 5-week-old puppy? That dog was 1 to 2 months too young to be away from his mother and litter mates, unless he didn't have any. No wonder his behavior is so difficult to cope with. He's acting like any other 3, 4-month-old puppy. Bean has no business in the workplace. He's too young to be trained properly and would be a distraction to Chloe for months. I think you do need to tell Chloe's supervisor because she's not getting your message that being in the workplace is not appropriate. Not the idiot. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for reading my previous post. I wanted to give you all an update on what's been happening over the past few days. After my conversation with Chol, things took a turn for the worse. The next day she showed up to the office with Bean in tow, despite my clear instructions not to bring him. I pulled her aside and reminded her of our discussion, but she brushed me off, saying that she had no choice and that I needed to be more understanding. As the day progressed, Bean's presence continued to disrupt the team's work. He barked incessantly during meetings, and at one point he even managed to chew through an important cable, causing a significant delay in our project. I tried to talk to Chol again, but she became defensive and accused me of being insensitive to her situation. Later that afternoon, I received an email from our supervisor, Dr. Thompson, requesting a meeting with me and Chol. It turned out that he had received complaints from other team members about the disruptions caused by Bean. During the meeting, Dr. Thompson made it clear that the current situation was unacceptable and that Chol needed to find alternative arrangements for her dog. Chol argued that she was being unfairly targeted and that the team should be more accommodating. She even brought up the fact that the two ladies on maternity leave were given time off, while she wasn't given any special consideration for her dog. Dr. Thompson calmly explained that maternity leave was a standard policy and that bringing a dog to the office was not comparable. The meeting ended with Dr. Thompson giving Chol an ultimatum. Either find a way to manage her responsibilities without bringing Bean to the office or face disciplinary action. Chol left the meeting visibly upset, and I couldn't help but feel a sense of dread about what would happen next. The following day, Chol didn't show up to work at all. She didn't respond to any of my messages or emails, and I started to worry that she might have quit. However, later that evening, I received a lengthy email from her, accusing me of being unsupportive and betraying our friendship. She claimed that I had always been jealous of her success and that I was using the situation to undermine her. I was shocked and hurt by her accusations. I had always considered Chol a close friend and had gone out of my way to support her, both personally and professionally. I spent the night tossing and turning, trying to make sense of what had happened and how things had escalated so quickly. The next morning, I arrived at the office to find that Chol had submitted a formal complaint against me to HR, alleging that I had created a hostile work environment and discriminated against her because of her choice to be child-free. I was called into a meeting with HR and Dr. Thompson, where I had to defend myself against these baseless accusations. It was a difficult and emotionally draining experience, but I managed to present my side of the story and provide evidence of my attempts to accommodate Chol while still maintaining a productive work environment. In the end, HR determined that there was no evidence of discrimination or hostility on my part, but the damage to my relationship with Chol was already done. As I reflect on the events of the past few days, I can't help but feel a deep sense of sadness and regret. I had always valued my friendship with Chol and had hoped that we could find a way to work through this challenge together. Instead, our relationship has been shattered, and I'm left questioning whether I could have handled things differently. Looking back, I realized that there were signs of trouble even before Bean entered the picture. Chol had always been passionate about her child-free stance, and I remember her making comments about how she felt that parents receive special treatment in the workplace. I had brushed off these remarks, thinking that she was just venting, but now I see that they were indicative of a deeper resentment that had been building over time. I also can't help but wonder if I could have been more proactive in addressing the issues with Bean earlier on. Perhaps if I had set clearer boundaries from the start, or had been more forceful in my communication with Chol, things wouldn't have escalated to this point. But I also know that I was in a difficult position, trying to balance my responsibilities as a team leader with my desire to be a supportive friend. In the end, I know that I did my best to handle a challenging situation with integrity and professionalism. While the outcome was not what I had hoped for, I am committed to learning from this experience and growing both as a leader and as a person. Thank you all for your support and for taking the time to read my update. I appreciate your understanding and encouragement during this difficult time. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.